Alright, hello everybody. My caps lock is currently not on. Game's really convinced it is. If you notice anything different about the login screen, I don't know how often I necessarily show the login screen, but if you are noticing anything different about it, that is because today's a special day. Today's a special day because I have just gotten a second account on the main server I play on, and there's a very good reason for that. The very good reason for that is because currently I have, like, something filled up on every slot of my characters on that server, and therefore, well, yeah, I'm kind of just like, okay, I would really like to set up a new account for this particular challenge, but unfortunately I need to have a character which, well, I just need to have a character slot for it, and I don't want to delete any of my existing character slots. And so that's what brings us here. I have yet to come up with a suitably sarcastic name for this character, unless I do just give this character the same one as the main account, which I would be happy with. So, I've also got a slight confession to make, which, well, I mean, it's probably not a confession to anyone who's seen this, but I don't think I've ever, since we've ever had, like, LU, I don't think I've, at any point, actually properly played Sentinel. I have joined the Sentinel faction multiple times, but I've never played it. Because typically what would happen is, on my main account, I will have my I'll have my Ninja Value character, which is typically Paradox. I'll have Infamous Coin Quandary, which is Assembly. Ninja Value, my main. Infamous Coin Quandary, that was my character in life, and not getting rid of that. And also, like, Assembly has some potentially interesting stuff for Out, or at least used to have some potentially very interesting stuff for Out of Bounds and things like that. Then you've got I'll normally have something like Ninja, but it's a Pirate Ninja, so I will have a Venture League character, because Venture League is probably the best for any modern House of Bounds stuff. So on current versions of the game, or versions of the server, more importantly, like, that's also what I would use for any racing, etc., anything like that. By racing, I mean foot races, because you're at a serious disadvantage if you foot race on anything that's not Venture League. But yeah, so with all of that, then I have one character left, and that character's normally reserved for hardcore LU. The kind of annoying thing recently has been that actually I specifically ground out one character all the way to a particular Smash 'em All achievement, such that I would be in a good place to do Battle of Devastation Hardcore LU mode. The issue with that is then I didn't have a character slot for actual Hardcore LU. But Hardcore LU is not what we're doing today. What we're doing today isn't even actually a speedrun or anything like that. What we're doing today is simply getting a Sentinel character. I just need a rank 1 Space Ranger character. That's literally all I need. Reason for this is because we've got a challenge. I mean, me saying rank 1 Sentinel Space Ranger, to anyone who's seen some of the stuff I've looked at previously, should give things away slightly. Looked at in recent videos, should give things away. I say a recent video. As for me recording this, it's not out. It probably won't be out for another month or so, but that's just what home Wi-Fi be like. But in that video, I was taking a look at a challenge sent to me by FFF Player 1. F. That was one extra. And the challenge was basically, alright, how fast can you do all properties? And it seemed like kind of an interesting challenge. Like, all properties it involves you going to lots of worlds, and involves you doing some reasonably difficult fights which have a specific goal. It's not just something you can run past, whilst being very, very, potentially incredibly underleveled. And you also, it's not like Battle Devastation where you, like, have the ability to I'm amazed I made it there, given I went to completely the wrong one. Yeah, it's not like Bat and Infestation or things like that, where like it's very easy to separate stuff. In fact, I already took a look at this previously because I was going to see, okay, how feasible are these hardcore LU? The answer is yes, just not in the way I would have thought. So basically, what it seems is you get a Maelstrom generator on the property. I think that's what the thing's called, and then over time, that just acts to respawn enemies, and they have a pretty fast respawn time. Fast enough that if you are playing hardcore LU, it's completely infeasible for you to go in there and for you to smash all the enemies before they respawn, or even just all the enemies surrounding the generator, because as it actually turns out, the enemies surrounding the generator are incredibly generous to the player, that is, with their aggro ranges. Their aggro ranges are tiny, presumably the reason being that they're trying to prevent me literally just kiting all the enemies off miles away, but what that does mean is they are pretty nice if you want to like go in and take them out one by one. So that's possible, but not great for a speedrun. And we do need to pick a faction. So ideally, what I would like in a faction is something that would let me deal something that gives me some good armor properties, basically, and something that would let me stun enemies. I really didn't think. So some friends persuaded me to download Fall Guys to play with them, and now I've just got a message come up from the Epic Game Store at the bottom of my screen. I don't have anything from them open at the moment, so that's incredibly invasive. Need to see how I can get rid of that. I mean, by incredibly invasive, I mean just annoying. It's kind of the OG antivirus kind of invasive. It's like, okay, it's not. I know you're not doing any damage, but really, do you need? Are you that insecure that you really need to make your presence felt that much? In this instance, clearly, Epic Games are. In case anyone's confused, no, this video is not sponsored by Epic Games. Wait a sec. How do these guys fire? Yeah. Okay, let's get rid of you. So yeah, as you can tell, clearly not attempting to speedrun this. So I'm just interested briefly in... Go away. Okay, there we are. There's the invisible. So, okay. So, these guys do spawn, because this was one of the things I was potentially looking at as a strategy, is could I use projectile jumping to climb all the way up? Should actually check. Very cool. Yeah, could I use projectile jumping to climb all the way up to the trigger? Because that's one of the cool things about this as a potential speedrun, is the trigger. Like, you can hit the trigger without fighting a single enemy, which I think is really cool. And like, it's kind of nice in that regard. Like, lots and lots of LU missions are incredibly specific. Like, you need to do a particular set of things, and there is absolutely no way you can go through the mission without having done so. Like, it's very rare that you just have to cross a battlefield. Most of the time, what you instead have to do is cross a battlefield smashing this number of enemies. Stuff like that. And you can't even normally prepare stuff in advance. Normally stuff only spawns in when you're trying to do it, which is kind of a little bit annoying when it comes to speedrunning. Or, okay, it's not annoying when it comes to speedrunning. It's annoying when it comes to, like, there being any interesting speedrunning routes whatsoever. So yeah, basically, what happened last time was I was like, all right, let's just quickly take a look through. I remembered that so yeah, normally I will have one character from each faction. However, it's just that the remaining character, I don't really have a purpose for any Sentinel characters. Like, most of my characters serve some sort of utility. And I never really had much of a desire of playing Sentinel, which meant that they always kind of got left out. And whilst I did have a Sentinel character, that Sentinel character was always my hardcore LU character, which, for obvious reasons, then never actually got to use. Well, obvious reasons if you know what hardcore LU is. Never then got to use any of the Sentinel abilities. But if you don't know what hardcore LU is, it's a challenge I do where permadeath, but also like you're only allowed consumables. You're not allowed armor. You're not allowed anything like that. No skills, nothing to make it easier, basically. And so yeah, never really played Sentinel, mostly because of those reasons. Like, I've never been a huge grinder, so I've never, like, put effort into getting characters up to high levels for the sake of getting them up to high levels, and I never really have much purpose in doing that with Sentinel. And so I was kind of very surprised to, like, be discussing exactly what I'd want from a character, realising that, wait a second, from memory, I know at some point Sentinels do get some sort of, like, armor damage reduction thing like that. I was like, okay, well, let's just double check. Let's just see at what rank. Like, that's quite OP. It's probably at quite a high. It's probably like rank 3, which you get that. Nope, it's rank 1. What I also didn't realise is that Sentinels, each Sentinel has a different passive. Don't think that's the case for assembly or anything like that, or maybe I never really care too much about the passives I get. But yeah, I was surprised by that. But yes, most importantly, we have 10 points of free damage when our health gets down to when our armor rather gets down to 0, which is good because when you're low ranking, you have very little armor in LU. Like, to get good armor, you want to be going to Forbidden Valley. Really, that's my like standard early game place for getting armor, and you can get some moderately reasonable stuff there. But yeah, I don't really want to have to waste time going to Forbidden Valley if I can possibly avoid it. Therefore, they were like, okay, maybe potential issues here. And before I die trying to do something dumb, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Prove it. That's a trick I've proven is possible. Not going to bother doing it here and now. What happens when that guy I was wondering what happens when that guy tries to kick me whilst I'm building. He still has to have the kick go through, but nothing. Well, I think maybe that should actually knock me out of the quick building state, but I know it doesn't at the moment. Until we die. Wait a second now. I could have just smashed myself, but I was being lazy. We're not actually trying to speedrun this one. This is just a test run. So basically I need to work out some stuff. I need to work out how powerful is the Space Ranger gear. Because, oh yeah, whilst I was checking the Space Ranger gear for like, okay, how much is the... Does it have like the damage reduction thing? How much is the damage reduction thing? Everything like that. I take a look and it turns out, no, the Space Ranger gear not only does it have that, but the offhand... Well, actually, it can't be offhand. It's got to be the helmet attack. That pulls enemies in and stuns them. Like, that was literally... I was literally chatting with friends on the Discord server where a player originally sent me that message. And one of them was like, oh, I just got the basic spear of stunning. I was like, It was like, yeah, that's a charge up that does AoE stunning. I was like, wait, what? That's a thing? Because I was just thinking of stuff like the flash bulb, but the flash bulb you need to grind out. You need to grind out a number of amber gemstones to get the achievement for that, if I recall correctly. Anyway, that's one of the gem collector achievements. And it's clear I have not been playing this for a while, judging by the fact that I went right to Wisply. Like, I've genuinely not done that in absolutely ages. Wow, I am out of practice. If this were a speedrun, I would have lost a minuscule amount of time. At least relative to my own inability to play LU. It's rather hard for me to lose a large amount of time relative to my ability to play LU, because that is low. For instance, I know you can get through here. I cannot manage that reliably. It's one of those funny ones. I do actually kind of like that jump. It's like Vendors or the Battle of Nimbus Station portal, where people are somewhat confused you can get in there, despite it fundamentally, it shouldn't be too difficult of a jump. It is, and that's solely because you jump too high by default, so the way you actually get in there is then by timing your second double jump to be at the right place, because that doesn't lift you up as high, I guess. I haven't actually thought about why that doesn't. Because actually, the jumping state... I guess you'll put in a jumping state instantly when you leave the ground, so I'll take back what I was thinking. For context, I found out some pretty cool stuff a while back, which didn't know about, which is the fact that the speed at which you move in, or not the speed at which you move, sorry, the air resistance the player experiences is dependent on factors such as whether or not the game thinks you're on the ground, or whether or not the game expects you to be on the ground. Specifically, are you in the standing state? And if you are or are not, you travel you accelerate and decelerate at different speeds, which is honestly just quite weird. Yes, so it turns out that Space Ranger seems like genuinely brilliant for this. I also wanted to work out roughly what time you could get in a run, and I have not done an early game run in absolutely ages, just because I really haven't done that much in the way of runs in ages. Like, last it was Hardcore Bonds was the last real grind I spent time on. I mean, before that, basically all I did was early game runs, but then over summer term, not very much changed. And then, as of setting up a character for Hardcore Bonds, I then didn't have the slot. Which brings us rather neatly to the present day. So I'm looking forward to a chance with this account to like mess around with having a Sentinel character for a change, because I know, for instance, they're fairly cracked at Battle of Nimbus Station. Not Battle of Nimbus Station. That's not what I meant to say. Also, did I miss? Surely I didn't. Or, if nothing else, just because I think I might still accidentally, I'm not 100% but I may even still just have the script on that changes. Because I absolutely, like, years and years ago, this is early LCDRU, I changed a script. I was just messing around with what we could do, like client side, what stuff you could do, and I was testing stuff out. And it was just for LCDRU, well, I say for LSDR. He didn't want me to. I was like, yeah, okay, good work. But that's an absolutely useless exploit. But you can in just the client just change the value, change the radius at which the throwing down the Maelstrom vacuum sucks up bricks. You can change it. It still only sucks up one at a time. If I recall correctly, or at least what I did to it meant it only did. But it's also kind of absolutely useless exploit because, wow, that makes one thing in the game slightly shorter. And I'm like almost 100% certain I have changed which client I'm using since then. But like, there's not 100% chance that like this could actually still be that client. And oh no, it couldn't be because I think I was on a different computer when I did that. Okay, so no, this cannot be that client. Well, that's always good to know. Good to know that I haven't accidentally been dreaming literally every single run that I've ever done on that all-important Maelstrom brick stage. Well, I mean, might as well get in character. This also actually lets me double. Okay, no, it doesn't. It's annoying. Can I? Nope. Well, rip that. Was hoping I could check the stats of the rank 2 gear like that, but no, apparently not. Can check whether or not it looks like I get a passive. But I suspect I probably don't. One more. I dealt 2 damage. I'm probably going to die here, but that didn't. Okay, that didn't reduce damage at all. It looked like it did on the web attack, but maybe I just got a health point and didn't notice. Because the web attack should deal 3 damage. It looked to me like it only dealt 2, but that may again just have been the fact that I didn't notice I got 1 health point from the first spiderling I smashed, which I think I probably did. So. Okay, that was fun. Wait, that? That could be minorly interesting. Definitely not very interesting. But that could suggest that previously there was only evidence for airborne skill breaking that I knew of anyway. If other people knew about this stuff, they don't tell me. Sorry, I'm being slightly sarky. Yes, we do have that charge at least. But yeah, that was very, very reminiscent of your classic that moment when all words leave your head. That's very reminiscent of the bug I found with ground pounding and some related bugs with air movements recently. So it's interesting that, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like, but I don't think that's coded via an air movement. Don't know how it's coded. I guess I should check that. Time saves TM. Yeah, okay, let's just very quickly yeah, okay, it's gonna at least start a cutscene of that, so I'll look this up quickly. Okay, we want LU Explorer. I want to know. Oh no, I don't need that, do I? I can just use. Okay, I want. Guess we just came out of the cutscene, judging by the music I just heard. Let's. I just need my CD client. What are we looking for? We're looking for objects. And we're looking for the, what was the shield slab, so it was rank 2 knight shield. Rank 2. No, that's rank 2 knight's book, not useful. Okay, so they don't have. Knight shield 2. ID 7403. Slash item. Why this isn't the most interesting thing mid-video. Okay, so I still need the skill tree for you. Means need to. Get the skill tree up quickly. Objects. Is that how I do this again? Yeah, it is cool. Okay, skill. We want the on use skill. Okay, we have tack arc. This is setting in direction if we can find something. Oh, is there a minimum distance? Okay, apparently not. There's not meant to be minimum distance. So okay, so what happens? So if we can't find anything, so if we can find something to attack, we change orientation to face it. I wonder if for some reason I couldn't find the spiderling there. I wonder if that was me being too close, maybe? Shouldn't be, because I assume it would detect the center of the spiderling, not the collision box, and the center of the spiderling was way back. But then regardless of whether or not it's blocked, miss, anything like that, we have, and whether or not we can find anything to attack, we have an attack delay. Okay. And parts of this are slightly all on top of one another. Okay, so there are two conditions, and so we have a force movement. Now, I think force movements are fairly common. What's not too common is having a hit action enemy in the force movement. So it's that hit action enemy. Interesting. Okay. Oh, I don't have that now. Okay, that's annoying. Sorry. Okay. So what we found is there's hit action enemy. One interesting thing is it has a little thing on there which says ignore projectile collision. So hit action enemy that's kind of your class. That's, I suspect, will be coded in exactly the same way as whatever it is inside your air movements that's responsible for ground pounds and the like. Okay. And I've forgotten the fast route for this. Or I haven't forgotten the fast route, I've forgotten to do the fast route. But the one interesting thing there was that had ignore projectile collision, which, like, obviously we know projectile collisions exist because there's projectile bouncing, but that's like the first time I've actually seen anything in the game specifically acknowledge the fact that, hey, projectiles can and sometimes do have collisions. That's not the route I want to take. I guess it... I just went there to collect imagination, which I know I don't need for this, but I did it anyway. Because I think that always gives you 2. It certainly always gives you enough that you then have enough for this. But I, for some reason, decided to go back around. Who knows? But yes, okay, that's kind of interesting, because force movements, I think, are somewhat more ubiquitous. I mean, the issue with a force movement is that it's nowhere... The issue with a force movement is that it's nowhere near as abusable as an air movement, because air movements turn off gravity, force movements do not. However, that also means, because they're nowhere near as abusable, that also means they're far more common. Like, there are not that many things which contain even a potentially useful air movement for those times when I can get air movement bugs. Whereas this suggests I could probably get a interesting force movement bug, similar to some of the air movement bugs I've looked at. That was entirely unnecessary. Come on. Shift, and I know it's somewhat close to often I can get here, get the imagination, and get back sometimes. I know I've had that time out on me before. Well, alright then. That was a real throwback to it's the first days of LCDIU when I submitted a bug report because I would just go through the moving platform. Turns out the reason I went through the moving platform was literally frame rate. It was just moving up. Well, okay, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I know there is some code in moving platforms that's meant to help sync you up with them. So it could well be that like, wasn't implemented yet in LCDIU. I don't know. I don't really recall. Speaking of things I don't recall, I don't remember if I got the heart flag in the spider cave place, but oh well. Don't mind too much if I didn't, because I'm not going for a hardcore U-run or anything like that. And there won't be any difficult fighting for a little while. The difficult fighting, or the even potentially difficult fighting, only starts with properties. Well, I'm bad. I don't have a speed boost on me off the top of my head, I don't think. I probably jumped way too soon for that. That was close. You shouldn't see my shadow when I land. Really. Hey, Card Shark shirt. Card Shark shirt, imagination tanks, prismatic cap, basic spear. This is the classic Ninja Value early game loadout. The only thing we're missing are dungarees. I sounded like I was being sarcastic there. It wasn't like they are the final part of my early game loadout. Alright, cool. Let's... Oh, I guess technically not for early game loadout. I'm not sporting the shield of shielding. Is that's not its name actually, is it? It's the Nexus Force Shield. It's the Force Shield, maybe? Gotta be Nexus Force Shield, I guess. Because Shield of Shielding, that's a Crux Prime thing, I think, unless I'm misremembering and this is it. I thought this was called something else. Let's get the Knight. Sentinel Shield. Okay, that tracks. Let's not die. And let's also equip the thing. Did I turn down the mission? Or did I just... I have equipped it. There we are. Okay, I have to equip it past the point where you accept the mission. Good to know. Wonder what happens if I get hit. That's boring. I wonder what happens if I get hit by something like that. By a knockback attack whilst charging. I don't think I can very easily run past her though. Mistimed. I just kind of want to use this because I... Alright then. I was going to say because I never get to, and then it did that, which was rather disappointing if I'm honest. I wonder what that one regenerated armor was. How little health does that charge do? I must have done a 3 health. Does the game make the assumption, because we haven't been taught to use these yet, that we shouldn't be given full power to the ones of these, like kind of to discourage us from using something we don't understand, maybe? Because like that was weak. Rank 2 attack should do more than 3 damage. And if I recall correctly, it's not meant to stun or anything like that either. It's not AoE. Or at least it's not made to be AoE, it is primarily single target. I'm pretty certain it did just do 3 damage. Yeah. It's 3. Because these are 5 each. LU health bars are not linear, but on something with such little health, it's very easy. Let's see. Also, I've just spent way too much time looking at the health bars of spiderlings. Certainly these guys as well. There's Bane of Hardcore LU. Interesting. Okay, so I did manage to get knocked out of the shield slam by that attack. And I don't... Got knocked out of the shield slam by a knockback attack. So what I'm realising is I was unwittingly attempting to replicate the air movement landing bug. But with force movements rather than air movements. And that should... They should kind of work in the same way in theory. So it's interesting what happened there. Starter property.png. That's one of the other things I never really bothered to get used to on this, was how to actually like properly efficiently do properties, because I very rarely do inventory page management between the models and the inventory tab. I mean, there I did get it wrong, like normally what I would do, which is, I think, probably more or less the most efficient, is normally I just get out a new model. Do all of those things with that. Because it's just pick up, rotate, and put away a model, which you get asked to do. Yeah. Early game LU's doing it to me again. It's been a little while. And it has had the understandable consequences. The same as it always has, though, so we roll with it. Alright, let's go. So I guess in theory I should have just checked it's not Blockyard, it's the other one. Nimbusile. That's the guy. I should have checked Nimbusile quickly because I need to. Because ideally, the most efficient way of pulling this off would be to go there first. Actually, maybe do I just because that then avoids me backtracking to Van Carson. So let's just go and do that quickly to avoid the backtrack. Obviously, it requires backtracking now, but it's fine because I would be. So we're just routing now. Right, let's go. I mean, let's go. I said that very like, woo, let's go. Well, I didn't say that much. I said about as enthusiastically as I tend to get with just your standard, vaguely repetitive early game LU. Well, I guess it's good to know that, at least. Maybe that should have been part of my general knowledge, because that is technically... I should have known that wasn't that was members only. I should have known that. I did not know that. But yeah, I mean, it does make sense. I do remember there only being one free-to-play property. Are there even any good brick vendors? I guess you at least do have a good number of mortal vendors in Avant Gardens. Not my 10 out of 10 platforming there. But yeah, so I am kind of just excited. So yeah, oh yeah, I began to mention this earlier, but yeah, it is. The Space Range gear is absolutely brilliant for Vanguard Survival. Like, if you really do want to go for a record in there, it is basically designed for it, more or less. It is... Yeah, because it gives you the temporary. I guess Samurai probably does as well. I need to check this out. I know that Samurai was the one that was like gives you invincibility. I thought it was for a certain amount of damage. Maybe it's invincibility for a short time, in which case actually we probably would be better off going Samurai. I don't know at which rank that becomes a thing. I mean, we'll find all of this out. That's why we're doing this run. I say this run as though we're doing a speed run. I mean, I honestly, I now just use run to describe anything I'm doing with any character ever. Basically, because, or okay, anything that's not a purely casual playthrough. Bad. Because, like, even if it's not a speed run, sometimes most of the time they are challenge runs. Here, it's a test run. I'm glad this was the right way, because honestly, I had not processed where I was going. I just looked and saw Mardolf, and I was like, why have I come back to Mardolf? This is completely the wrong area. And then I saw the chest and was like, oh. Huh. Subconscious Ninja knows. Subconscious Ninja has done this series of missions way too many times, and has not actually consciously processed any of them. Cool. Alright, so the thing is, if I recall correctly, in theory, the thing it says is you need to join a faction first, or you need Nexus Force approval to claim this property. Speak to Nexus J first. I'm pretty certain. Yeah, I'm pretty certain you actually have to. Even once you've got Force approval and have gone. And have gone faction, you have to return to Nexus J before it'll actually let you do anything, I think. Like, I think I can do this. And if I go up to Bat of Nimbus Station, say, I'll still get the same message. I think I have to have joined a faction, if I recall correctly. I've got to join a faction. Sorry, I think I have to return to him after joining a faction, if I have permission, but I don't remember if the message actually changes. Oh! Okay, well, I'm not bothering to go back to Vanguard's just to test that hunch. I'm trying to think of other things that would be locked behind. The thing is, I'm pretty certain these don't come up as locked behind Nexus J. Oh, but I'll tell you what might. No, okay, so there are a few things. Starbase might come up as locked behind Nexus J. These probably won't, but I mean, I can always check as I run by, because these should be locked, like, behind another. Yeah. What do I get here? And even here. But, I mean, this doesn't really count. So there I can at least interact with it. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe it was based off of Bat of Nimber Station. I was saying that, and now that I have joined a faction and gotten the join a faction achievements, all the other things would be open. Regardless, given I have to pick this up at some point, and I do have to backtrack to Avant Gardens at some point, it makes sense to at least pick up this stuff before I go there. Can I visit the shop first? So I prefer to double check what it is I'm getting myself in for. Nearby characters will be shielded from a set amount of damage for a short time. Okay. Amount of damage reduction by 2 to a minimum. If I really wanted, I don't think that's the best play. Maybe it is. I don't think it is. But that's what we're looking for. Shielded from 10 damage is the actual one for a short time. So I mean, maybe at some point in the future I might test Night, but I don't think Night is. Certainly for this challenge, I think distracting and stunning should be sufficient. Feels like there shouldn't be more to it than that. And yeah, one of the first times that I've equipped this gear and not taken it instantly off. Like, seriously. I don't think I actually have, like, any memories of basically ever seeing that in my hotbar, ever. Like, this is weird for me. I know I have done some stuff at some point with Space Ranger. I know I have, because I've made use of the fact that we have a nice little free AoE attack. I know I played this character at some point in live. Hey! Dungarees. Okay, so I guess our course is set. Let's just see. Okay, cool. Oh, interesting. We have a longer cooldown on that. Guess as compensation for it being an AoE, but okay, that's kind of interesting. Because I don't think, if I recall correctly, I don't think the Space Marauder has that. Could be wrong. Don't think the Space Marauder has that. Again, could very much be wrong on that count. Because I don't really fight with the Space Marauder on hand. I don't think I've ever really fought with that weapon. Like, I think I've tested it out at some point, but I've never really played around with it. Because I don't really... Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. Okay, so let's go. So first off, I'm going to attempt the most basic cheats I can. Exploiting the time it takes things to spawn. Can I actually... Come on. Is this just... like a thing? I mean, maybe they had spawned in. I did see a red health bar. Maybe they just had too small aggro to see me. I mean, regardless, it works. Oh. You'll disappear, I assume. Yeah. Oh, okay. I mean, that was incredibly easy. I mean, I literally just saw 2 spiderlings. Guess. I mean, now I haven't had an opportunity, still haven't had an opportunity to test the helmet, but I guess next up. So it does take a moment to spawn. I think I was slower than the moment it takes them to spawn. Now I could counter that. I could like get quicksicles. I don't expect to be fast enough with quicksicles. I guess I could get them. It's not something I can do multiple tests at. That's annoying. Okay. The thing is, I can assume whatever delay the spawning is constant property to property. Could also be that there's a trigger that triggers the spawning. I should check and ask about that, because I know property fights are definitely to an extent scripted. So it could be that there is like a particular trigger that triggers them to spawn in, and if I could glitch past or avoid it somehow, we'd be in business. I guess just done here. I wish you could go to Crux Prime without doing all those missions for what's his name first. Like, don't let us start the Crux Prime quest chain until I've spoken to Exeter. Sure, like that's fair enough, but let me at least go there. Because I mean, as it happens, I'm confident that I can do stuff, and I can. Yeah, I got 10. Okay, 10 already had some. Right, so it's annoying. Nothing here that will let me regen armor. One of those smashables drop armor. So, completely wrong direction. Right, so I guess this one I first attempt with just absolute bum rush. Basically, can I get there before the group of enemies spawns? So there's a group of enemies, including 2 admirals, which spawn by this thing, if I recall correctly. Oh no, this isn't that one. Oh well. Okay, no, I can't. Building, and this is exactly why we got this kit. Exactly that. Also interesting, did you, like, I don't think, did you see, but I don't think this had the standard, oh, so that FOV change, like, that seemed to deal the damage before I'd landed. Kind of. Yeah, like, I don't do any damage on landing there, which is interesting. It's different. But yeah, okay, so I know I can't outrun stuff. Kind of expected that, but it's good to know. It was very much worth a try. So now the question is, can I get away with a bum rush? I don't. I think I only semi. I've got to be careful because there are two admirals, and the admirals will deplete my shield if I'm not careful. It's my armor at 3 out of 5. Annoying. Annoying. Unless these things... I don't think these can give me armor, but... Figured not, but it's worth a try. So, like, what exactly does this charger do? And I'm pretty certain blocks 4 attacks. That attacks anchor up. Wrong one. Attacks anchor enemies as well. Didn't realise that. That's kind of interesting. Okay. I mean, I can. So that's an interesting passive. So yeah, let's go. I mean, honestly, those first two are kind of a breeze. So, I mean, Spider Queen's obviously Spider Queen, but those were easy. Okay, question. Do I get knocked back? I'm not gonna try and outrun the spawning. I don't think I'll manage it. But I should try and check if there's a way of getting around. Because it does seem... It seems like it's triggered by something. Okay. Okay. That's fun. I activated... I began charging up, I guess, at a very inconvenient time. Let's just double check so. Okay. 4 attacks. So, I mean, I should have died there. I didn't know off the top of my head how many attacks he would do. Why am I still... Oh, it was because I ran out of armor, I guess? I mean... Okay. So I think these guys should respawn. I mean, it's just... I might as well test it out, but I'm pretty certain we should be. Seeing these guys respawn. Okay, there we are. And here we have the power of AoE. Which an LU is just, yeah, vaguely overpowered. Not incredibly, but definitely vaguely. Okay, so now what I want to do is to aggro you lot. Okay, interesting. Those are very, very easy to kill with aggroed. Do that. I should already have... Okay, they're not very long, but... Can do that. Okay, that's interesting. Do it again. No! It's not what I wanted to build. Okay. Oh, I'm just kind of glad that wasn't a first time success. But okay, so now what I need to check is what happens with enemy respawning, because I think they stop now. And I think the second that goes down, these guys stop respawning. So what I'll do is I'll just clean through these outer enemies. But honestly, couldn't I just keep everything stun locked? Like, this is AoE. It doesn't take long to smash everything, does it? Like, that wouldn't, like, okay, in theory you could go faster if you avoided smashing everything, but compared to other optimizations which I have to make, like that, smashing everything would be, or not, avoiding smashing everything would be such a minor time save. And I think it's just because this is AoE, I think that's really, really possible. Because, yeah, all you'd have to do is roughly what I'm about to do now. You run up, you get things in a pretty similar place, and you then stun lock. That's actually more or less too easy. Okay, 100% possible to do it without that, but that is a perfectly viable strategy. Woo, brown shoulder owl. Time to never equip you. Okay, next up, the only one which requires I get any actual distance. How many ground pounds does the ape do simultaneously? Is it 4? Is it 5? We're about to find out. That's going to be... actually, it won't be key, because what, they deal 5 damage each? Even if they do 5... Heck, even if they do more than 5, I'm safe. I'm being entirely dumb, aren't I? Yeah, I am. Okay. I mean, okay, not entirely, like... What I can do is, I was considering my charge up to block damage. Now, I obviously can't quick build whilst that... Or at least, I have yet to find a way to quick build whilst that charge up is active. Doesn't mean there isn't one. Ooh, I have an interesting concept for how it might actually be possible. Where's the nearest quick build? No, the ones it's over. I was thinking red blocks, but now the nearest one is over here. I don't know what the game does if I do this. Let's just see. So what am I going to do? So I've got to work this out. So what I want to end up in is in the quick building state at the same time as using a charge up. The idea is I know the quick building state needs a server response to put me into it. Charge up doesn't. Which means I do this. Okay, so that means... Let's see if this works. No, I've messed up. Yeah, I'm kicked out. This is the classic ninja messing around with ping and the like. And absolutely failing. Or in this instance, that ping time was way too long, and so I just got kicked out because the game recognised nothing was being sent. I don't think it's... I don't feel like this can work. It shouldn't. Because, like, you saw there, even when I wasn't getting a... So, like, I could do this with a vendor. I guess that would actually be a potential cheese. Interesting. I mean, I guess I can try something. I can try this, because this is a one... I might be able to build part of this, at the very least. Let's see what happens. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Turn it off. Begin reconnecting. Come on, don't kick me out. Okay, what are you going to do? Alright, absolutely nothing. Well, it's worth a try. Yeah, so I'm kind of on the fence about that as a speedrunning strat. Like, things which mess around with ping seem... a little bit unfair. Oh, yeah, I'm not a huge fan. Like, it was live viable. But yeah, there's trick. There's one trick I might actually make public, since I don't think it makes much difference if I don't. But there was one speedrun strat I came up with involving that a while back. But yeah, most of the time it doesn't make too much difference. I just knew that quick builds were... So, for instance, one thing you can do by messing with ping, or should be able to do it anyway, is... I don't know. Say, be in a charge up during a mission dialogue. So what I should be able to do is something like this. Wait. Huh? Okay. That was weird. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Okay, so ping doesn't limit the time it takes for the stuff to come up. Or it doesn't limit the time it takes for you to get into that. Get into the animation talking to this guy. It just prevents you seeing the missions he has to offer. Alright then. I guess that would be an interesting thing to look out for. Like, could it, in theory, be possible to activate a quick build at the same time as charge up? It's not something I've ever done. It's not something that's ever been done to my knowledge. It's one of those things that doesn't seem like it should be possible. Don't know why I picked that up. Don't totally want it. Just aiming to get to Chanty Shanty as quickly as possible. Not what I meant to build, not what I meant to build. Let me build you. Good. Cool. Please tell me I don't need to have done quest chain. Yay! Cool. Okay. It would have been annoying if I had had to do quest chain. Don't, so I'm very happy. Now really wondering what happens with the bouncer bug and force movements. Should look into that at some point. I should have just run for this, but yeah, we'll be fine. So yeah, if I want to speed strat this, just place everything around that. I'm dealing like probably 1 damage at a time. But realistic, well, I guess I could even just have done that. But everything there seemed to have about the same health as the thing I was smashing, so there's no actual reason to fight them. Or there's like, it's not even one of those things where it'd be faster to just get this and build it like it. Thank you. So the trigger's like right in the center or something. And I thought I hit there, but apparently not. There we are. Really confused by what that thing in the corner was. That thing in the corner was me. Alright. So that's that one down, and then we have the only one which might require some strategy. I mean, probably not. I'm honestly kind of disappointed. I thought this would be harder. Like, I mean, as this is, we're barely 40 minutes, like, including me messing around and researching stuff, we're barely 40 minutes past me leaving Avant Gardens. Well, we're not 40 minutes past it yet, I don't think. Also note when my shadow appears whilst I spawn there. Still have no idea how to turn that to any use, but it still feels worth noting. Hello, random person. It gives me Brian vibes. Of course I'm not friend. I was about to check my friends list, but of course I'm a new account, not friends with anyone. Apologise in advance for being antisocial, mate. Whatever it is. I'm just assuming whoever it is, I probably do know. Forbidden Valley speedrun. And by Forbidden Valley speedrun, I mean literally just get to Forbidden Valley. Because, like, this isn't behind the Ravencloud Gate or anything like that. Which means there is literally no mission progression that I need to skip. It's right at the start of the world. And a side effect, I messed that up there. I'm pretty certain the physics volumes don't need service. They don't. Surely they don't need service stuff in order to appear. But I know they can be spawned by the. I need to look into that because that's one of those things. Maybe you could get past physics volumes just by. Oh, I mean, you'd need to... Maybe you could get past physics volumes just by, like, getting out of range of wherever they spawn. Or, more importantly, of wherever they unload. Disconnecting, and then sprinting back through the area. You would need to be fast, because LU notices quite quickly. Stuff like that, but... And here we go. I mean, despite this not being timed, I mean, no one else has ever done this to my knowledge, so yeah, I mean, woo, world record pace, woo! But we are honestly just on pace for, like, a really good time, you know? This was actually just so much easier than I thought. I don't remember if we can stunlock horsemen. If we can, this is actually trivial. I have no armor. Are you actually kidding me? Okay, one horseman. Drop that. Turtle just keep. That's another example of something that activates on... So I've noticed that bug for absolutely ages, but I'm realising that might be linked with several other bugs. Of you having something that activates on collision. But sometimes it doesn't. There we are. And if we were recording time, I guess this would be time. I've had this on for 1 hour and 23 minutes. So if you want, maybe if you're being technical, depending on whatever rules, I would have to do that, but I've done that now. And there we are. That is, unless I'm absolutely forgetting something, that is every property in the game. Because, I mean, I know I can't have missed out any earlier ones because they're all ordered sequentially, so there would have to be one afterwards, but there's not one in Crux Prime, there's not one in Ninjago. So, yeah, I mean, this seems like a win to me. So, I mean, yeah, this is the route. That was actually incredibly easy. Like, really, literally just got carried by, like, I was expecting to have to do so much more work. We got carried by AoE. Like, entirely carried by AoE. Because, like, I suspect even had we used these, the stun wouldn't have been long enough to have kept us safe. Whereas this... Oh, sorry. The stun would not have been frequent enough with this cooldown to have kept us safe. Whereas this has no... Or its cooldown is so much faster than this. So... Yeah. They are. I mean, in terms of what time's possible, honestly, like... I mean, you are basically more or less limited. Like, each of these battles should take under a minute. You're basically limited by how fast you can get from place to place and how fast you can complete the early game missions. So, yeah. I mean, what could go hand in hand with this is some sort of an every world challenge. But every world wouldn't include beating all of these instances. And honestly, every world, your only real hold up is grinding out to get to Crux Prime. like the dragon battle instance, you can spring shoe into there. Everything else is basically easy. So all in all, yeah, all worlds would be kind of boring. And that's a good route for all property battles. Honestly, that was kind of fun. It was absolutely hilarious to just sit down and be like, oh, okay, I've completely ruled out this, or I've never done anything with Sentinel. I mean, none of my challenges really ever involve like fighting and being good at fighting, but dang, if you want like, I hate that I can't ground pound cancel with this. Well, not ground pound cancel, ground pound momentum cancel, I guess. But yeah, if you want a nice early game faction kit, this is absolutely brilliant. I mean, I know what Paradox, the closest you can get is Sorcerer's Wand. Well, sorry, it may be the Space Marauder gun. Aside from that, it's the Sorcerer's Wand. I mean, that actually has ranged AoE, which is pretty cool. The final attack on that. There's nothing in Assembly which can do it. Pretty certain there's nothing in Venture League either. I'm fairly certain that's limited in number of targets. So, yeah, I mean, glad I did it. And if anyone wants to actually beat this time, feel free. And I would look forward to seeing that. Like, I mean, it's 100% optimizable given the fact that I was mucking around on other stuff and even logged out partway through. But yeah. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Introvelu, and I'll see you around. Bye.